What's happening, everybody? We got Billy Rude from New York's in the house. Let me just make a couple of quick announcements. We got, as of this morning, 22 tickets out of the 85 that we're allowed to offer at the Soulogy Fest have been purchased. So there's still 63, and there's plenty of time to make your purchase. You got all of April and most of May. But I would encourage you, if you're thinking about going, you might want to get that ticket because they're going to go. Also, we're getting suppressed, so if you could share this to one page or one group, that'd be very cool. We'd appreciate it. So we got Billy Rude in the house. It's great to have you back, and it's great to have the younger people. You're what, like 21?
If I look like it, sure.
You can't be more than 31. There's no way. You got to be somewhere between 20 and 30, huh?
Well, I am like 37, so.
Is that right? Jesus Christ, I need some of that, whatever you put on your hair, man. Mine's turning all white. Billy's, he's involved with something. Let me pull it up real quick. Hang on a second. Billy has been putting out an e-magazine, 58, right? Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, 58 magazine.
58, yeah. You came on the first time, and you were just starting the project a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And you came on and you talked about it a little bit, and it was very interesting. Some of the stuff that you put together. I think it's 58. That's spelled out 50, then the number 8. I believe you can find on YouTube. We'll get his information before we get out of here. But he's these young people that are, engaging in the community are really what's going to take this thing to the next level, in my opinion. So you sent me a video and you said, I'd like to play the video and talk about it. So I'm going to play the video now. It's 1 minute and 42 seconds. So you guys kick back and watch this.
There's a war coming. The greatest war there ever was. I'm talking about the end of this tyranny for you, for everyone. You have the only weapon in all the universes that can destroy the authority, all right? If you're the knife bearer, you have a task ahead of you. The fate of many worlds may rest on you. If you don't use it against them, they'll tear it out of your hands and they'll destroy us. They'll have absolute power. You must do this. You must do it.
But don't argue with your true nature.
I'm not strong enough.
The night is full of angels. They will guide you. Both of us were brought here. Do you understand? You're a warrior. You're a warrior.
So it's the alpha and the divine. That looks very interesting. I mean, to consider those two words, alpha, considering we're coming out of a patriarchal realm, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's different context to what alpha means, but
yeah,
what that video summarizes is like, basically right now, everyone's experiencing this attack of psychic energy, which is things you can't see, which are thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. So all of that is being challenged right now, and basically we're challenged with limited thought. That there's something wrong with you, that you're sick, that you need to take a vaccine, that you have to basically can't live as joyful and abundant because of these limited thoughts. So thought is energy. Everything that you think is your energy. And the more that you can become aware of what you're thinking, because then you're going to experience that in your physical reality. And so
Yeah.
alpha is a state of consciousness. It's not this idea of an alpha male.
I got you.
It's
So alpha is a state of consciousness. It sounds like
a new state.
a new state of consciousness. Okay, a new state of consciousness. Okay, let me sit with this.
I think that's really important to know about the new or future and past is that in my experience of my past and what I'm creating for my future is that the past is very limited to a certain amount of suffering and emotions. And so if you're feeling anger, sadness, betrayal, judgment, or any of those kind of lower frequencies, you're in your past. And if you want to create a future, the only way to create something unknown and new is with joy and happiness, because that is unknown to us from our first parts of our life. And so a lot of the thing I think it's more important to be conscious of that is that no matter what's being presented to us, like a script, you could say on media, news, internet, it's not exactly what's being presented that you need to be aware of. It's the emotions that you feel. So for me, a lot of the stuff that I've been looking at outside of myself were kind of like this idea of politics and stuff like that, and Q and all that stuff. And I just disconnected it for this year.
Yeah.
And realized that keeps you in the past. That is the past. And if you want to create this new, you can call it 5-dimensional reality and stuff like that, but you don't know what the dimensions are inside of you, you're going to get pulled into those negative frequencies because of your emotions. And if it's not happiness or joy and you're being attracted to things that aren't that, then there's you have to change your thoughts in order to change those emotions. And that's why I use Star Wars and all these new films to describe this complex, unseen side of us, our thoughts, beliefs, and our emotions, all the things we can't see, because in reality, you've seen Star Wars, right? Do you like those films?
I saw, when they first came out, let me just date myself. 1977, I believe it was 1977, 78. When the first Star Wars came out, and I remember, because my best friend, he was like totally into that stuff, right? So he's like, hey, you got to go see this movie. I had no idea what it was. And then it starts out with, this image, this moving image, and all these stars, like you're being propelled into the cosmos, a lot like, I don't know, maybe with other people too, but like when I close my eyes and meditate, a lot of times I will see stars and I will be moving through the cosmos. But the story of it, from an archetype standpoint, and from a hero's journey standpoint, and other mythical stories, it's a very powerful proposition to take in. I have seen probably another maybe 4 or 5 of the episodes. I don't know how many there is.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many now, but I think that film is a perfect example of what we're moving into, because not only archetypally, but the deeper spiritual meaning behind that. Because like you said, when you meditate, you see the stars. It's because the mind is in the future. And so all the symbolism that we are starting to become aware of, because that's how our soul and our subconscious speaks to us. You have to notice that Darth Vader, in the first ones, Luke, his father is Darth Vader, and father symbolizes your mind. So everyone's mind is like a Darth Vader, is constantly judging, seeing war, wanting to fight, blame, and create emotional poison such as fear, anger, and sadness. And the whole journey, the real spiritual journey, is to, like Luke, to only see the good in the mind. Because if you don't, you feed your parasite, which is negative thought, which is the emperor. And more you feed lack, fear, doubt, you're creating more parasites, more negative thoughts that limit your energy, which is like Princess Leia, because she's always being, kidnapped and abused by this altered part of us that is our mind, that you have to become aware that it's going to project whatever you think. And if you support and allow negative thought in your mind, then you're going to experience that. It's like
of course,
the nature of reality. So I think we all are experiencing is what I like to describe as Mother Nature testing us to see who's strong enough in their mind to create this new reality out of limitation. Like,
Yeah, I want to dive into this. This is great. A couple of comments. One is in just recalling Star Wars,
Mhm.
and you mentioned Luke and you mentioned Darth Vader. To me, now that I've thought about it for a second, the scene that I found the most intriguing and impactful from a storyteller, type of, because I write, you write, there's kind of a storytelling frequency. And it's the scene where Luke, and I don't know which movie it was in. I know it wasn't the first one, but I think Luke, he gets into a duel with Darth Vader,
Mhm.
and he has the chance to kill him,
Mhm.
right? And he chooses not to. And to me, that was like, okay, no matter what, you go to the grave, so to speak, upholding that which you are. And you can say turn the other cheek, and there's a lot of ways to say it. But at the end of the day, and to the point of what you're saying, are we going to perpetuate the script? Are we going to perpetuate our inner knowing, in our faith? So that was a big scene to me in regard to that. The other thing is where you talk about what you just said, which is really saying we have a personal responsibility. We have no one to blame
Yeah,
when you
there is
get right
no,
down to it. Yeah,
and
you know what I mean.
no,
So we have a personal responsibility, and this is where I think one of the things I want to jump into with you. But so we've gotten to a point where the us versus them, does them even exist? You talk about things that are presented to us or that we experience, essentially, I think what you're saying, as a result of the thoughts that we carry forward.
as
And at some point,
beliefs.
and I guess I'll use this as an example, I'd love to see the conspiracy, disclosure, and starseed platforms converge into one voice, and that voice being taking all elements of their um, of their narrative or whatever their understanding, and merging them into one more aligned voice. So it's kind of, to me, like we're not at a crossroads, but we're at a point of evolution where we're going to have to drop the us versus them kind of thing. Now, this is just my opinion, but I'd love to see what you have to say about it.
Well, I think you can still use that concept, but in a deeper way. It's like us is like your all the cells in your body, and them is any limited thought that you allow. So the only war and fight that anyone needs to take on is themselves.
There you go.
Because you're only gonna see what's lacking in your mind, in your reality. Because the thing that you're saying that we have to conquer that, or we have to become one with all these theories, I'm like, those are just distractions. They want your mind to not be focused, and and not that's a problem or like a hard thing in a grasp. It's like this is a game, and there's
Yes.
little rules that you can play, but in the end, if you can realize that the greatest battle is just the negative voice in your head stopping you from what you came here to do, which is to create your life and to create your happiness and your joy by connecting to your energy that's just been archetypally kidnapped and abused, like in every fairy tale movie that we've seen, by a psychopath, which is your mind. And it's only been that way because you've allowed these negative thoughts, these abusive thoughts about other people and yourself. And you have to realize that this is a place to heal that, so then you can create something no one has ever seen before. And
Yeah.
you're a creator, but we have to go to this place of basically experiencing what we aren't, so then we can really grow into what we are, which is love and creation and like you could say God or source. Because if you think about it, 0 point, if you're at that place, there is no lack, doubt, fear, there's just love. And
Yeah.
if people are trying to get to that place, then there's really, the less you start to do, the more you realize that is actually more. Because
Yes.
I've taken the past 2 years to face all my fears. Like, I didn't pay rent for a whole year just to see if I could manifest it when I needed to. And I was able to go through those fears and just have complete faith, even though it was a nightmare. And it was one of the most challenging things I've ever done. But because of this knowledge, knowing that whatever you experience in lack or in isn't that 0 point or in that full belief of yourself, you'll never experience it again because you're going to come out of it with a new state of consciousness.
Yeah.
And what this is all creating is that you have to face, like everyone is talking about this purging thing, but it's been starting since the early 1900s. And that's why there's like a philosophy behind all the world wars, because this energy is enhancing both the good and the bad in you.
Yeah.
So everyone who has a lot more darkness in them, it's either going to be very painful and hard for you, or it can be very graceful and abundant.
Yeah.
So it just matters on what you believe in terms of yourself and other people, because there is no others.
True.
I
love that quote. I love that quote. I forget who is it, Satarahu or one of those. Yeah, what you said. First of all, there's no doubt in my mind, and again, this is just me and my own journey the last 10 years, that the higher your soul goes, the higher your ego goes. The higher your soul goes, the more your ass shows. You know, I mean, and I love what you said, because again, you're bringing everything back to the personal responsibility of a conscious creator. And, you know, I'll give an example. For instance, we all still have unconscious programming to a degree. I don't see anybody walking on water. This is a never-ending trip. If our power is limitless, then the possibilities of our blindness is limitless, and we need to keep looking. I mean, this is just my own thing. The bottom line is, if, for instance, if for the last 10 years or even 20 years or whatever, people have been telling me, whether I like them or don't like them, hey, you're like this. Hey, you're like this. Hey, you're like this. Now I can resist that, or I can look at that. And for me, I've gotten to a point now which has changed, because it used to be, hey, am I this? I'm going to go do this work. I'm going to go figure this out. And I still do that. But what I do first and foremost now, and this is just new to me, is I don't have to say, okay, I am that, or I am not that. What I can say is I am open to what they're telling me. I'm open to what the world is showing me, because the world is showing me a reflection meant for me in every moment that I live. So I can be open to, I'm an asshole. I can be open to, just as much as I can be open to, I am in service, you know, for the light. I mean, I think that we get confused sometimes because we want to be open to the light, but we don't want to be open to our own, what we call darkness, which is probably not the right word. It's just unconscious programming that was put into motion in this realm as a learning tool for souls looking to expand on behalf of themselves in the universe. So I think it's a great point that you bring up. How do you keep your ego in check?
Well, the thing is, I think the whole point is not to keep it in check, is to learn from every experience, no matter how you express it. Because I think anytime you limit yourself, you're creating an altered ego, which is, you know, which builds parasites. So for me, ego means God. And the more that you become unlimited and like that, it's just basically like you're saying, I always say, like, we have to end the separation from our mind and reality.
Yeah.
Like the people that told you those things about you, you only experienced it because you've said that about you.
Yes.
And so there's
somewhere deep inside, you mean, like I'm carrying that thought.
Yeah,
deep inside.
because you wouldn't experience it if it didn't exist in you.
Exactly.
And so that's your unconscious behavior, is that you say those things and you believe it, when really they're just parasites because of unconscious programming.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a friend of mine who loves to agitate. You know, some people I love people that make you think. That's why I like your work, because it makes you think. It doesn't mean, oh, I've got to go, you know, agree with whatever they're saying. But I love people that put something out and they go, okay, I need to think about this.
Yeah,
but a friend of mine, exactly right. So a friend of mine who loves to stir the soup and then watch everybody go at it, he put up a post, and the post was about the George Floyd incident. In the post, he said what he thought, and it was kind of middle of the road, but it was slanted to one side. And so then there was all these comments. And I don't really comment on anything. He's a very good friend of mine. And I just was like, for me, it was just a moment for me, I guess. But I went ahead and wrote it down, and I went ahead and pushed, and I don't know why I did, and I basically said to myself and wrote, when we can see both the perpetrator and the victim in the same light as we see ourselves, then we might have something to listen to that comes out of our mouth. But until then, there's really not much to say, because that tells me that I've got work to do if I'm charged to one side or the other. And it could be any issue. It could be anything. It could be COVID, could be masks, could be vaccines, could be, is there Illuminati, could be Q, could be anything. But I guess that's what I was saying earlier, prior, is that I think we're getting, I don't think, I know we're at a point now where we're going to have to walk the talk. And that is, we can't just say it. We have to actually, embody it and feel it in our body. You mentioned feelings. And I think that's where we're at. I think we're being asked to kind of walk the plank.
Oh yeah,
in faith.
Yeah, and I feel like if you can't you have to walk the walk. And for me, you have more power with less that you talk, because
Yes.
your energy is always at a high vibration, in a high place, because you're not needing to dissipate it for any reason besides exactly what you want to create. And I think, like, it's a good thing that you brought up these current events, because for me, I don't watch any of it. I don't allow anything into my consciousness that I don't want to experience. So if you look at those things, it's all for people that need to clear up the emotions that come up from it.
Yeah.
So if you felt anger, or you felt immense anger or hatred, then it's because that's your hatred, your anger about yourself, because you're allowing these concepts to exist in your consciousness, and that means you're going to experience it in your reality. So everything that we see is scripted by all of us, but it's only happening to the people that need to heal that, because they're allowing it in their reality. Because everything that we experience, we have full control of, but we just have forgotten that there is no separation between our mind and the world around us.
Yeah.
And I think the thing for me that has been so beneficial in my journey of realizing my own power, and my also my abuse of power, is that the symbolism, like the greatest story that we all know is the story of Jesus. But Jesus symbolizes your imagination. And so you have to think about, are you crucifying your imagination, or are you creating like a carpenter? Because everything that you imagine is your reality. And to be a Christ is when you live in your imagination and know that this is what creates your reality and your world. So, but the thing is, people are crucifying themselves every day.
Yeah.
And they're not sitting in their silence, or taking on a deeper initiation of themselves and remembering who you are, which is not the mind or the thoughts or even the beliefs or the emotions from your soul. You're this energy inside of you that never dies and can never be destroyed, but you can limit it by how you think and believe about you.
Yeah.
So all we have to do is make sure that we are aware of that with ourselves. And I think anytime that you're not in full belief of something with you, like if you believe that you can get sick or that you need a vaccine, then think about that before you make a decision, because the mind is always going to want to react. It's always going to be like, I have to do something. But then that always causes a consequence, when really, I think you just need to ask yourself, it's like, do I love and believe myself enough to keep myself healthy and strong, no matter what's presented to me, as a thought or belief? And I think that's the that we're all under. It's a psychic war. We experienced the physical and emotional from the first two wars, and now it's a astral and psychic, and it's only going to get more intense, because that's how Mother Nature picks who helps develop this new root race that is the whole evolution of the spiritual human adventure and journey. So, I mean, if people want to experience this new reality, then you have to realize that your fourth dimension is your imagination. You have to live in that more than what you see every day. And then when that becomes pure, that's the fifth dimension, which is just pure consciousness.
Yeah.
And that's when both your male and female energies are in union, and able to create anything you want, because it's like you're creating a child because it's in union. You're so in love with yourself, and your energies are so balanced, you can create a child like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's the whole symbolism. And that to me, it's been so powerful. And thinking about how you want to create anything in your life, it's like your child, your baby.
Yeah.
You can't allow anything negative or limited or fearful to affect this child, which is like this new reality. So we just have to become strong and train our minds to only allow what we want to experience. And if you want to experience lack or not abundance, that's great too, because you can teach others how to get out of that.
Yeah.
You know, so there's nothing to judge except the lack of awareness that you do judge everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true, because the minute we do, we're creating a line. And on one side of the line is superiority and the other side's inferiority. And again, that's something in balance within ourselves. I think more and more people are taking things upon themselves. It's never them, it's always me kind of thing. But it's also a transition. So it's having certain pressures, which ultimately are beautiful for the soul, but hard on the human, that are being impressed upon the human, because it's affecting our relationships. It's affecting how we communicate. It's affecting whether we say anything or not. There's a lot of people finding their throat chakra right now, particularly the feminine, and rightfully so. Okay. At the same time, like you said, you know, like my wife always says, you know, if you know it, why you got to say it? She told me that 2 years ago, and it's been like a lot of things in the transition we call ascension, that as the days go by, it has more and more meaning. So I find myself in situations, especially like, for instance, with Soulogy Fest, we announced a couple of weeks ago, and I've got all these people coming at me, and thank you for you know, wanting to participate and wanting to present and perform and wanting to come. And there's all this energy, and the old what, Todd, was, oh my God, I got this, I got to get back with them, I got to get back with them, or they're going to get mad, or da, da, da. And the new Todd is like, and I'm not saying it's me, like I'm Jesus, I'm just saying I think this is where we're getting to, or we're at, or we're going to, which is, I look at it now and go, look, my intentions are pure. I can only do what I can do when I can do it, and I'm going to proceed that way. So it's more of a, how would I say this? More of a relaxed, aligned stroll, as opposed to a, you know, full blast, constricted muscular system, moving around, trying to, you know, and being in this state of, I don't want to say agitation, but there's certainly agitation that can come from it. But I guess where I'm getting at with this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is how this is becoming, you know, the old saying that, you know, anything in the ascension is what it is. Don't take anything personal, kind of thing, like the 4 agreements, right? But it's a very personal trip. Like, it doesn't matter what I tell you, Billy, or what you tell me about your personal journey. The bottom line is, we both walk away from this, and it's me in the universe, it's you in the universe, and everything is being communicated, given and received right there. And you can't deny that. And the last point I want to make is what you were saying too, is that the value, and I'm just going to put it in my own words, but the value is not in what we say, although that's important. We're trying to figure out when to talk and when not to, but the value is in the frequency of the energy that we are. And nothing needs to be said, because there's something far bigger than us and far bigger than the ways and means we've had in the 3D, that you might call non-physical, etherical, energetic, that's really potentially lighting this grid up and transforming this grid.
Yeah. And I mean, to go off on that, I guess, what was your question? I just want to make sure.
Well, it was more of a comment and see what you thought about it. In terms of it being a very personal, microscopic magnification, you know, like right now, for instance, a lot of people over the last few weeks have been saying, holy crap, this is a major purge. And I've never seen one like it. I've never felt one like it, but it's not been totally uncomfortable. But the bottom line is that, I forgot what I was going to say now. First show of the day. I'll
I think I kind of know.
I'll pull it right back. Oh, I know what it was. So being that so that everything is in your face. Like we have an interaction. I have an unconscious program, or I might be mildly conscious of it. We have an exchange. By human terms, you trigger me. I can immediately go, he's a prick, you know, or I can go, okay, what is it in me? So I think this personal part of the journey is the journey, and this is where that integrity and that discipline of keeping in your own lane and staying on your own stuff that you're talking about comes into place. My comment or my question is, you know, has it gotten to be a deeper personal exchange between you and the universe, and even for all of us as we've moved on?
I can give you some great examples of that. I mean, when I was facing my fears about money and about or basically I was experimenting how money is a reflection of your energy. The more that you have energy to create, you're just going to naturally get money so you can keep creating.
Right.
And that's why I think film directors and actors are one of the most spiritual careers you could pick, because I think being a film director is like being a war general. You have to like have so many clear decisions, and you're responsible for so many moving pieces. And actors change their state of consciousness every single year, and they're able to go back and then find out who they are after all that without affecting anyone. But the thing I think that's been most interesting to me is that when I had a conscious intent to change my lack consciousness to abundance, I experienced things outside of me that, like, I had someone kind of aggressively attack my dog, and then my dog bit her, and then she called my entire family. Like, I don't know how she called like our families and was like trying to get us to be responsible for something she created. But I knew with this knowledge is that when you change one state to another and you go through this dying process, these neurons that hold on to these old beliefs and these old thoughts will present itself to you because their energy is being sucked out of them. And so you'll experience in reality a situation where it feels like you're being attacked or something like that. Really, it's a projection of your neurons dying because you're not feeding this lack thought anymore. And so I experienced that outside of myself, and I just was like, I'm not going to give it my power. I'm not going to give any of my energy to something I don't ever want to experience again. And so I think it's more powerful to see that and realize it, because I have learned so much from that experience that if something's being presented to you, you can choose to keep that experience going or to drain it of its life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me, anything that hasn't been aligned to what I really desire and want, I just block it, because I know it's just a part of my mind changing and it doesn't want me to. So it presents the opposite experience to push me to this new state of consciousness. But it's like in every movie, it's going to fight you until its death, because you're not feeding it life anymore, energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is based on a lot of people's narratives, credible people, which is what's happening collectively, which is there's obvious, evidence for those that are looking, that there is an expansion of consciousness, even if it's a strong minority, that is living the I am soul, that is to thine own self be true, that is taking responsibility as a conscious co-creator. At the same time, there's not the same, I want to say there's not the same of projection of the inverted matrix, as Franco de Nicola calls it, but it is being perpetuated still through our egos. And, and that's something that, like you said at the beginning of the show, that's something we've got to keep our eye on. But I feel like that, what you said is such a perfect example. Something comes at you. If it makes you uncomfortable, we've got work to do. If it's a situation where you've gotten beyond that and you've integrated it and you're in the 0 point, like you talked about, then we can make that decision and go, I don't want that in my sandbox. So I'm not going to look at the mainstream media, like Billy said. I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. Not because I've got resistance and not because I want to ignore it, but because I've been there, done that, and I'm done. You know, I told my friend yesterday, I think we're all in the fuck it mode now. Like, you know what? I'm in 100%. I'm in. I've tried everything else. I fought against it, which is really fighting against myself. And there's another thing that I see happening. And I'm not a channeler or a downloader. I'm probably more of a spokesperson based on all the information that I receive from, you know, my personal life and from this show. But one of the things I see happening is that because we've done, I don't want to say enough work, because we've gotten our work done to a certain level and we've crossed certain number of thresholds, we're starting to come into the knowing of what our true power is. And it sounds like, fairy tale stuff, but I believe that we are, through our good efforts as a human, as a conscious human, starting to approach the space of teleportation, bilocation, remote viewing, astral traveling to greater and greater degrees, things that we haven't even considered. And the very thought and reality and coming into of our power is a huge challenge to our psyches, to our minds, to our egos, to our human aspect,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, and I think that's where everyone has a little fear rising in them, because everyone's afraid of their greatness more
Yeah.
so than anything else. But I think it's only because we also have been conditioned to think that we have to hold the weight of the world on our shoulders and we have to fix it, when that's just a limited thought, because you are the world, and if you want to fix it, then all you have to do is like become a happy person.
Yeah.
And find out what's stopping you from that. And the clients that I work with or collaborate with, I used to be a fashion photographer and a film director, and now instead of thinking of it as a craft and that my work is art, I now look at my life as my canvas, and what I want to create in my life is now my new art, rather than photographs or videos. But now I use content to become a creator of love, because we all are creators of emotion, all of us. And I'm just conscious of the fact that I've always wanted knowledge, and the most empowering and pure knowledge to attract to me, so I can create content to empower people's lives that is pure and empowering. So I had to become that to then do that. So another thing that I'm realizing is that once I'm able to match my frequency or by my thoughts and my beliefs, it changes my consciousness, and it changes everything in my life that I could never ever have imagined. I mean, I did imagine it, but it's like so much more magical and beautiful, because love is your special effects.
Yeah.
Love is what creates all the things that you have never seen into something real.
Yeah.
And so for me, all my content comes from that emotion of love, because I want you to feel something, no matter if it's, a little scary or a little thought-provoking or a little stirring, because that's who we really are. We're feeling, not emotion, which is chemicals, but a feeling of unlimited potential. And the only thing that we have forgotten is that that's inside of us, not outside of us.
Yeah.
And we need to practice it more than saying all these things, because
True.
actions speak louder than words. And there's so many people that already have those gifts, being able to remote view and all this stuff, and they're monks, and they don't need to go on social media and tell you about it, because when you come to that new state of consciousness, you're already whole. So you don't need to share. You don't need to become an image. You're just that all the time. And I think what we're learning is that all these old constructs, they might have served us for a while, but if they're not to a place out of selflessness or out of pure creation to help others, then that's where it's going to become a little difficult for people, And like, we can't necessarily, like for me, I can't be putting on workshops or presenting any information if I still believe in lack or hate or injustice in the world. I just feel responsible that I think people before have taken this knowledge and abused their power and made themselves very rich. When for me, I'm already rich. So
Yeah.
all I need to share is stuff to empower your life, because for me, I've already been that, and I'm doing that. And that's why I think this divine connection and this new state of consciousness, alpha, that's how I wouldn't say channel, but that's how I receive these videos or these ideas for these videos. Because that one video I showed you in the beginning, I made that on New Year's Eve without any preconceptions. But I was like, I want to feel something like this for this next year, because I think this next year is going to be challenging, because it's already been like that. It's only going to keep going. So for me, I want people to just see and remember that we have to take time for ourselves to initiate into who we are, so we can remember and practice it rather than preach it.
Yeah.
And I think the more that we practice it, you'll see greater things happening in the world, because I'm living proof of it. I've come from, being suicidal, from working at a spiritual shop, thinking tarot cards is like the best guidance, and like when actually it's like the most limited, lacking way to live your life. And I'm still trying to conquer these thoughts of greatness in me, because sometimes that terrifies me.
Yeah.
But that's my flowering, we all are slowly turning into these beautiful flowers, and there's no race, there's no need to rush anything, but it's like, I just think we have to spend time to be like, I am growing into something great and beautiful. Instead of just
it's not a sprint, it's a magic marathon.
And we are time and space, so it literally, there is no lack ever.
Yeah.
We create all of that, so we just have to, for me, I just think the more that you meditate and you invest in yourself, the greater you'll become. And you'll just be living proof of it with your life and your reality,
Yeah.
And I think that's what inspires people, rather than people constantly making videos or saying, believe in yourself. It's like, you have to be that example.
Yeah, I think ultimately that's absolutely 100%. I've said it for years, not because I'm smart, just because I've picked it up,
but in your own way,
but yeah, I mean, I'm not diminishing. I'm just saying that what we do, I can be in this studio and no camera, off the internet. I can be working on Todd. I can be grounded with nature out in the back. And I can do so much for myself and for humanity, really. I'm infusing into the grid my conscious projection at all times, and unconscious, right? So now we're getting a hold on it. That one individual solitary transformation or alchemization or whatever you want to call it can reach billions. And we think, oh, well, I got to be Donald Trump, and I got to be on a camera, and I got to have 50 million people watching me, or whoever the person is, or whatever the thing is, thinking that that's more powerful. But it's upside down. Everything in this whole trip is upside down. We're finding out, and the basis of that is death. And there's not. It's life, and the other one would be us. Everything's been presented to us over the years by our own perfect orchestration. Try the church, try the state, try this, try that. Go see this yogi or guru or whatever the case is. And that was all great. Like you said, sometimes what got you to a certain point isn't going to get you to the next one. So the upside down, or the reverse of it is that it's always been us, and we know this. The one other thing I wanted to ask you about, because I know you've got your head in the game, is connectivity. Like that's kind of come into my field the last 2 or 3 months. And the phrase was like, what you guys are doing in a nutshell is the universe is connecting to itself. Like in other words, the universe shattered. We're all fractals. Now we're all finding each other, and there's a new connectivity. There's new wisdom, new levels of truth and love that are being gained through this separation back into, because of the contrast of being separated, to, you know, the oneness that we're getting to. What are your thoughts on connectivity? I mean, we know that we've affected others and other things through our unconscious, we might even say negative or emotional charges. Does not the same hold true for, you know, as we raise our frequency like a tuning fork with the methods that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think the connectivity thing is about like your 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 state of energy, because I think, like, again, celebrities is a great example, is like you become a light, so you attract everything because you are so in full belief and love of yourself. And to most people that looks like it's selfishness, but really it's like you're just so in love with yourself as a creator, and then you attract, like a light bulb, the good and bad, because that's just what you are. Light attracts, you know, and it lights up the darkness more than anything. So, but then there's also the opposite of that, where some celebrities just do it for power.
Mm-hmm.
And they attract darker thoughts and energies and power too. But I think the thing for me is to just be aware of is, if you like, just intention. Like, is your intention to evolve and create a happy life, or are you trying, like, I don't know, there's so many questions that you have to ask yourself every day. And I think the two that are very important to me is, who are you, and why are you here?
Yeah.
For me, when I wake up every morning and I
Yeah.
say that to myself, I have so much more intention, I have so much more belief in myself. And then once you remember why you're here and what you're here to create, your soul is free. Because it's like that movie Soul, it's, you are connected to the zone, or this asterisk, the astral dimension, which is just pure imagination by feeling. And that's the thing that I help people remember, is this connection to your spiritual mother and your father, because this is one thing that might, it only trigger people that don't want to learn and grow. But one thing that's been very helpful to me to look at my life and my projections is this concept of your family.
Yeah.
Because in movies, for men, women, your mother represents your heart, and for men, the father represents your mind, and women, it's opposite. So your father represents your heart, and your mother represents your mind.
Wow.
And
I never
if you
heard that
look,
before.
and
I
if you
never heard
look
that
at,
before. Let me marinate in that for a second. That's a profound.
but listen, they only, you experience them by how you think and feel about you. So
Yeah.
whatever your mother, what your experience of your mom is, how you feel about you. And whatever you experience with your dad is what you think about you. So they're only mirrors to your own thoughts and beliefs about you.
So the feminine is for the masculine. You're saying the feminine is what we feel about ourselves, and the masculine, represented by our fathers, what we think about ourselves. That's
So you only,
that's something that's going to be my meditation today.
yeah,
I'm going to
because
dive into this.
if you heal that part of you that talks and thinks about yourself in either positive or negative ways, that's how you heal your family.
Yeah.
Is
Well, yes, that's a great example of how things change as a result of our own personal change. You know, people have talked about that.
you have to see good in everything, not because what you see outside of you is because it's you, it's in you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. My
The connect. I just want to finish your thing.
no,
I
no,
think
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's the connectivity thing that gets us more in oneness with ourselves, is to see that your reality is your art and your creative expression, and all these people so close to you, it's because it is you. It's like so personal and so intimate because you've already thought and believed that about you.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt, you know, it's so crazy how things happen, but, you know, the memories come up on Facebook, you know, every day. And I had one that I wrote years ago about family. I'm not going to read it, but it came up today, and it talks about you have no opportunity for growth like you do with family. So going back to what you said, I think that's so important. And there's such huge dominoes but they can potentially knock down so many others, especially with the energy where it is at this point now. And that's your mom and dad, whether you knew them or not. Now, my bride is a practitioner, and I've heard her start many sessions, when she's in her office. And she always starts, most of the time, I can't say always because I don't know for sure, but she starts, the times I've heard her, much of the time has been about the mother and father. So when she's talking to the client, your mother was Mother Universe, your father was Father God. All of their DNA's been, has been imprinted on you right there. Not to mention, the incarnations, occurrences that happen for all of us as we start getting conditioned from day one, being told no, and all that other stuff. But there's such and even for myself, and that's where I was going to take it. I've done a lot of work, even going back to my early 20s, specifically on my parents. And to this day, I can look, in the ethers, I can look at both of them. I can get to a certain point, but maybe it's always going to be like this, like it is with everything else. I don't know. But I know this, every day, pretty much every day, I pull up my mother and father and I make a little more progress and a little more progress because there's a lot of stuff there. And I just, I think that's a really good point. I just wanted to restate it.
Yeah, because that's why a lot of people say this reality separates families when really it's just those limiting thoughts that create that.
Yeah.
And you believe it. And
Yeah.
so that's why I think ending this separation from mind and reality is so much more important than what you see or what's presented to us, because we create it. And the more that we experience these manifestations or these realizations, the more we can take a quantum leap in new realities and discover our true power. Because I feel it's so simple, this work, that the mind wants to complicate it and make it as complex as can be, when really the truth is we need to heal our father and love our mother.
Yeah.
Because our father is our mind and our mother has been what I want to ask you, did you watch Game of Thrones?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
The symbolism in that show is phenomenal. Basically, what's happened to our father and our mother is our father's head's been cut off and our spiritual mother's throat has been slit, because it's hard for us to express love, and our mind of strength and courage has been decapitated. So now we have this psychotic mind that always wants to label, judge, and persecute people, or it's always needing to do something. When the fact is, all we need to do is have that realization and know that all we have to do is sit with ourselves and say the things that we want to experience, because the habit is what changes it. These neurons change after, it could change after 30 days and 30 nights. Your whole reality can be from limited to abundant in less than a month.
Yeah.
If you really want it. And I think that's the thing that we are learning right now, is how much we have little desire or little love for ourselves. And with these limited thoughts, it's making us realize that, like, I have to start caring about me.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to pull up another movie since you're a movie buff.
Yeah.
By the way, I spent an hour talking to my daughter last night. She's 18, about to be 19. She wants to be a movie director, and she's incredibly, and I'm not saying this because it's my daughter. I think there's a lot of young kids out there that are coming of age that are just absolutely lit, and they got it,
Totally.
She was telling me last night, she's like, yeah, when I got out, I was going to go to college, and I thought, you know what, that's BS. I can get where I want to go by, and now here she is, 18 years old, and she's working for one, I don't know what you would call it, like a movie creator, movie producer. She's like a PA. And then the other one, I think she does pretty much the same thing. How do you find that type of, and again, it goes back to what you said, you're going to attract where your imagination, your thoughts are going. But the movie I wanted to bring up, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, right? Have you seen that one? Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
So what you were talking about with the thinking, I think about the end of that movie where they know that something's happened in terms of like erasing memories and all that. And they say, I forget what they do, but they're like, remember this, or you know what I mean? I've seen a couple other movies like that too, where the people, they're like, post-apocalyptic movies, and the people don't have any memory, right? Yet they keep finding themselves. And I remember this one movie where they put like a bracelet on, like they tied a bracelet on or something around a finger that would kind of jog their memory, kind of like our intuition and like our deja vu moments. But I totally agree with you. I think imagination has been our greatest weakness, but now we're finding out it's actually our greatest superpower.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
really
we're
is.
superheroes. We just have to believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, that's the thing is I always try to tell people is like, what you think you are, first of all, you can't see, because you can't show me a thought, a belief, a personality, or an emotion. You can't show me space or time, but that's what we are. So you have to have some kind of initiation, this sacred act of connecting to yourself in order to remember that. It's like you're saying, eternal sunshine, spotless mind. No matter what you try to do, you can never forget love. You can never forget that energy. So I think the ways that we all interpret stories is also based upon your perception, because I haven't really understood movies. I've always felt in tune with movies, like ever since I saw E.T., Fight Club, and Psycho. I was like, I don't want to be a doctor or dentist. Like, I wanted to be very practical health things. But then I saw those movies and I was like, fuck it, I want to be a creative. I want to make movies because there's something about the mind and about aliens, which E.T. for me freaked me out, but it's only because aliens represent higher consciousness.
Yeah.
And in my own journey and my own self-created realities of abductions, like, I don't know if you talk to anyone about abduction stories or hybrid children, but the thing I've realized that we also create our own inner realities and our own dreams. And sometimes we're unconscious of that power, so we create scenes of abductions and hybrid children, when really that's a symbolism of you're able to receive and interpret higher consciousness, and you're here with an idea which is represented as children. And because that's the whole idea of creation, you create life, an idea, as a child, because you're both your masculine and feminine, they have to come together to create it. And so I think for me to have that experience made me realize that I was in a place of victimhood and wanting to feel special. And I created those inner realities, but I didn't share with anyone because I was like, there's something I need to understand. It's not like I was chosen or something. I never felt that. So I felt.
So can you say that? You just said something. Can you say that again? You said I wanted this because I was in victim mode.
Yeah. So you created.
You wanted attention. You wanted.
In
fame?
a way.
Okay.
No,
I think that's absolutely profound.
Sometimes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that's what you said.
Yeah, because
Go ahead.
there
I'm
was
sorry.
a lot of things lacking in me at that time, and so instead of just sharing it and trying to become known for that, I was like, there's got to be more to this, a purpose.
Yeah.
And then from reading more about holographic reality and our quantum connection to the quantum field, I've realized that all those are self-created realities that is a part of us that we limit. And for me to sit with that and integrate it made me realize that those experiences only happened because I was receiving higher consciousness, but now I have to do something with it. I can't just be like, I've been abducted and blah, 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 when really it's like all that is hypothetical and you can't prove it unless your actions can speak for it. So for me, I've only wanted those discussions with people with similar experiences to question themselves and their own creative ability, because we create our own dreams and our own reality. And I think the only reason that we have weird dreams is because our bodies need to dream to heal. So it creates chemicals to heal parts of our body that we see as pictures. That's why you have dreams that don't make any sense. But the ones that you feel...
there's been a lot that makes sense lately. I don't know what that's all about.
I mean, I could help. If you have any dreams, I could share it.
No, I said I've noticed, things really seem to like pick up around December the 12th. And it really, I mean, it's been this way, year after year, but it's really just been, to me, it kind of stands out. But one of the things that's not just with myself, but people that have come on the show having lucid dreams with not full recall, but with a significant amount of recall. I mean, I know for myself, it's a lot of, because I had asked, I purge in my dream state, and I've had plenty of those. But I want to go back to what you said, because if you look at if you look at what you said, let's say success or fame or material gain or whatever it might be, and you look at victim, you don't always attach the two together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But when you said that, I realized that there's a polarity there. And I just want to kind of soak that in again. You said, if I'm seeking attention, because that pretty much covers it all, right? Validation, recognition, then I'm actually operating from
lack.
A victim program.
Yeah. Because I think all the things that we're seeing in politicians and celebrities that have coming into light that's not necessarily positive, all that's because there's been a lack of love in their life, so they desire power. It's just like Star Wars, when you don't have people that support you and believe in you, you start to become addicted to power, and then you use that power to kind of poison other people with your emotional poison, which is like the lack of love. And so you keep spreading that to other people because of power. And it's like the Harry Potter films and the new Fantastic Beasts. It's like and then you build a following because of your power, but it's because of something lacking inside of you. I mean, if you look at the symbolism, Jesus only had 12 disciples. So why do you need thousands of followers on Instagram?
And Buddha was just one person. Yeah.
And look at monks. They're not on social media telling people they have higher consciousness and are abducted, and which I highly know they do, but they have no need to get inflated by it because they know it's coming from something inside of them rather than being chosen or being special.
That's been a big thing too. These last few months. Not that it's never popped in my head before, but you hear a lot of these cliches. And some of them go back thousands of years, like go within, and they're taking on new meaning. They really are. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's been not daily, but almost daily. I'm nothing. And I don't mean that to sound like, oh my God, I found the light, I mean, literally as I'm exposed to more and I realize I don't know anything. I know nothing. Michelangelo, 87 years old, said, I'm still learning. And I guess that would be close to what I'm trying to say. But there's something about actually not just saying it, but actually feeling it. And there's levels for me. And that is, I'm nothing. I don't know anything. And this is a weird kind of mathematical scenario, geometric mathematical thing and then the human can't comprehend everything, but something works here. There's something that actually works and not only creates, but perpetuates and expands that which you're talking about, which at the end of the day is, like putting love to work, so to speak, by walking the talk. There's, I don't know how else you would describe it, but there's something about it that's being met by the universe in this age, in this day and time, that we're getting what people call, instant manifestation and obvious reciprocation from our inspired actions, efforts, aligned thoughts and words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you think about it, if you ever feel fear, I always say that's just the belief in the lack of love.
Yeah.
Because there is no lack ever. So then why is there anything to fear? And then I think you can become more aware of that. You'll just become a light. Everyone around you just feel more relaxed, more at peace, because that's all you see in your mind. And then if you're living in that dimension, if you see something outside of you, like someone, what I've learned is, how Jesus provided fish and bread when there was only a limited supply, is that he just looked at it and changed it in his imagination, were then these quantum subatomic particles, just because of his love for what he wanted to create, was able to just manifest that instantly. So I think the more that we see the potentials that we're capable of and then practice it, it's in like, just imagine what we can create without any limits and blocks.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we have
No
to
doubt.
use our imagination like Photoshop to change reality in our head. You know, everything from the people, the places. Like, most of the time I spend time meditating and just rewatching my day and seeing where I wanted to change it, like imagine it.
That's
Because
smart.
that's
That's
me
smart.
develop and practice my creative ability to be like, in any moment it can be unlimited. So how can I use my mind to practice and practice that gift so you can feel more unlimited, you know?
Well, what you're saying is very important, because there is evidence, in our personal journeys. And again, this is that part of what you were talking about before, show me your thoughts, show me, you know what I mean? You can't actually, but that we're merging timelines. People talk about merging timelines. I always have been, for myself, for like 10 years, there's these certain moments where the past, present, and future all merge. So my point is, that exercise that you're doing, it's changing the past. It's correcting the day, because the power is here, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
because the other thing that you said too, that, and I don't mean to interrupt you, I just want to get this real, because my daughter, having that conversation with her last night, and you being and so similar in terms of what you do and what she wants to do. She said to me, how do you know I'm going to be a director? And I said, what are you thinking about? Being a director? I said, do you see yourself doing it? Yes. And then she went into like intricate detail of how she would make a movie and how she would be better than Tarantino, not to be better than him, but to bring a new energy, right? And so the moral of it was, from her own words, I'm holding that visualization. I'm holding that in my field. And I guess from human terms, you could say until it's a reality, but the fact is it's already a reality.
Yeah, if it's real in your mind, then it has to appear and become that way. Totally. Yeah. And I think I would love for her to, you should have her contact me, because I think if you can understand symbolism in movies, there's so much power.
Oh my God.
In that.
I'm going to do that, because, and thank you for that. And I was trying to remember, but last night I asked her, I said, what are your favorite movies? And she said, she named a few movies, Kill Bill. I can't remember them all right now, but there was one movie, a very famous movie. And she said, it's such and such movie. And she said, I love the story, but people don't get it.
Yeah.
They look at the story and they see the action and the drama. And it was about this man, and it was about his story, and just the way she went into it. So like, I can totally see where you guys are definitely off the same branch of the tree of life. No
Because
doubt.
I think that's so powerful about movies. If you look at it, they're all about the main character's head. And if you can understand that in movies, then you can understand how you create your reality.
Yeah.
Then we project ourselves into people, places, things, and events. But we can't look at individual people as like our fellowship or reflection, because it's the entirety that's your reflection, not just one person. It's just, I think sometimes people try to, label and identify and mark things instead of just being okay with.
It's beneath. There's so much beneath that story, right?
Yeah, it's like, look at your life as a movie. And try to understand the characters instead of being like, I have to react. It's like, you're making your own movie. You're the main character, but you have to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Some people just aren't invested yet. And
that's another, I might have to start watching more movies and talking to people like you and my daughter. But you think about that. We get so caught up in the movie that we project, right? That and maybe we're finding it, now we're looking at what's underneath it, what's beneath it, right? And that's what she kind of brought to the surface for me when I was talking to her last night and now talking to you, it's a carryover. There's no coincidences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, like the same thing we've talked about. I think the first time I met you, you know, I've always had this like grand thought that I'm gonna make a film where, or what if you could make a film where after you watch it, you can find your soulmate. You know, like I'm having more of these unlimited creative thoughts. You know, what if you could create a story that's so powerful that it could heal you just watching it, you know?
Dude,
that's
yeah.
where that's taking advantage of this situation in time and really being able to test yourself and see how powerful of a creator you are.
Did we talk about this last time? Did we
Yeah.
talk about this?
Yeah,
We did, didn't we? Yeah.
Because I really feel that that's my purpose here and my destiny,
Yeah.
to those kind of films that I've always seen under the surface of these other films. But what if the film could actually be so intentional that it was made to empower you rather than just entertain you?
Yeah.
But I also think that films they do that, but it's really hard to convey it as other than entertainment, because a lot of people don't want to think and they don't want to look at movies in a way like Star Wars, or it's about your own journey, about why you're here and how you have a mind like Darth Vader and you have to like heal it. Because most of the time people just want to go to war. They're in control. They're Darth Vader. Their dark side is more in control than their, you know.
We're flipping the script now.
But that's all you got. Like, I think that's the quantum leap that we can all take by like looking at ourselves by these symbolic characters, because you can't really show anyone these parts of ourselves like that. So that's why movies do a good job showing it in a dimensional.
I'm going to put you in touch with my daughter in touch with you. She's actually told me I'm going to New York.
Okay.
All right.
Here.
Yeah. And man, I enjoyed talking to you. We just went over 20 minutes. We've got another show starting in 10. I'll talk about that in a second, but I want to give Billy some time. Let me just go ahead and say what I got to say first, and then we're going to hand it over to Billy before we get out of here. We got to do this again in a few weeks. There's something to it. So I wanted to say that we've got 3 more shows today, and in 13 minutes, we've got Real Talk with the host, Melissa Dehan. The guest is Nikki Hammond. And then after that, we have Gary Cook's coming back. He was on just by happenstance yesterday, but we know there's no coincidence. So he went ahead and came back on today for the original booking. And Sasha Grace, our sister from Australia, is going to be on tonight. Billy, why don't you tell us how to find you? I'll punch it in so it goes onto all platforms, and anything you've got going on and anything you've got coming up.
Okay, sure. Well, thank you again for having me, Todd, and let's do this again soon for sure. Well, what I'm doing, you can check out all my content to empower your life on 58magazine.com.
Oh,
and
58. Okay, go ahead.
50 and then the number 8.com. And then I have workshops every weekend that I use movies to kind of convey this transition into the new age and an initiation into who you are, and then training your mind to be able to handle all these psychic little attacks that we're all going to experience, and are basically to help other people keep their mind strong and create a new reality out of this, you know, 3-dimensional lower energy of war and limitation. So if anyone wants to watch some cool content that empowers you, it makes you feel alive and excited about your life and how you can alchemize fear into excitement, you know, check out my workshops and my content. And I also do guided meditations, because I believe in silence the future is created. And so I help others remind you of your power and how you can create with just your mind and your consciousness and energy. So that's kind of what I'm up to, and I'm always around to talk and chat about like-minded, you know, consciousness expanding topics. And yeah, thank you again, Todd. I love always talking to you and hearing what you're up to.
I'm going to I'm just making a note. I'm going to reach out to you. I appreciate it. Edith Ann just put up, let me type this one up too. Is 58 Magazine going to be the same website as 58.com?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So
yeah,
it's
58 Magazine is the right URL.
Okay. I got you. All right, brother. Peace out. I love you.